We've all seen the pop culture trope, the individual who gets their heart broken once and retreats into a permanent emotional vow of silence. Modern internet culture often presents this aloofness as a badge of honor. It's framed as being unbothered, but this posture is typically a shield for bitterness and a persistent fear of being vulnerable again. Clinical psychology offers a different perspective. It identifies this state not as a personality trait, but as a documented psychological trauma response. This defensive mechanism surfaces as a chronic numbness. It leads to self-isolation, a lack of interest in previous hobbies, and an active inability to form emotional bonds with others. From a clinical standpoint, these walls are a glaring warning sign. They represent an injured mind building barriers to ensure its own survival. Yet a contradiction emerges when we look toward the ancient world. The Stoics spent centuries advocating for a life defined by detachment. For thinkers like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, detachment provided a framework for resilience and a necessary condition for practicing unconditional love. This raises a difficult question. How can the same psychological state be diagnosed as a symptom of trauma in one context and a prerequisite for tranquility in another? This contradiction points to a specific confusion regarding what a healthy mind is actually meant to let go of. Most people practice a false detachment. Driven by fear, the instinct is to distance ourselves from people to avoid the risk of rejection. This is a reaction of the ego. It attempts to manufacture security by cutting off external connections that it can't control or predict. Stoicism proposes a shift in target. It suggests remaining fully engaged with people while completely detaching from the outcome of those interactions. You stay open to the world, but you sever your emotional dependency on how the world responds to you. False detachment refuses to play the game to avoid the possibility of losing. True detachment plays with total intensity, but remains at peace regardless of the score. Shutting the door to keep people out is an act of avoidance. Real strength is leaving the door open and remaining steady even as people choose to walk through it. We can see the mechanics of this in the early stages of dating, or when we go out of our way to help a colleague. The trap is that we often tie our sense of worth to the specific reaction we want to receive. We aren't just acting, we are waiting for a receipt. Tying your internal stability to someone else's reaction is like handing them the remote control to your emotions. You are opting into a life of constant external management. This ignores the reality of control. We have no power over whether someone likes us, returns a text, or values our effort. Living in a state of attachment to these variables ensures a cycle of emotional whiplash, where your mood is dictated by factors entirely outside your reach. The target is a mind that is deeply involved in life without being entangled by it. This requires prioritizing the action over the result. You act with kindness or generosity because those actions align with your character, not because you are trying to buy a specific response from someone else. Think of a gardener. You tend the soil and water the seeds because that is what a gardener does. You don't stand over the dirt demanding that the flowers bloom on your schedule. This philosophical distance doesn't result in caring less. It actually allows for a more honest connection, because your affection is no longer weighed down by the fear of what might be lost. By letting go of the need to manage the future and focusing instead on your own conduct, you achieve a state of freedom that remains stable regardless of how the world shifts around you.